It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest, and this week's theme is called Steel Stallions, and this is my summit guide. Let's go. All right, before we get into it, if you're looking for any of my pro settings, you can go to militiagamingco.com, click on Motorfest tools from the top, and there you will find a bunch of tools, including all of my pro settings. Let's get into it, man. The summit bundle this week is all bikes. In fact, the whole summit is all bikes this week. So enjoy. The summit bundle includes the KTM 450 EXC Red Bull Edition motobike, the Suzuki GSX RR racing bike, and the KTM 450 Rally Raid bike. Now, there's additional bikes that you're going to need and a boat as well. The BMW R1200 GS Adventure, which is a Rally Raid bike, the Ducati Panigale R, which is a racing bike, and the Ninja H2, which is also a racing bike. And then, of course, you're going to need the Proto WR1 boat, and that one you're definitely going to need Scorebreaker with Pure and Skilled as your affixes. That one is for a slalom. All right, the keys to this summit 100% are the part sets and the insane lines that you can take with some of these bikes. The air NOS is crazy. There's lots of little cuts, lots of jumps, places where you can save a lot of time. So I'll show you all of that stuff as we go through the events. As far as the pro settings go, I have no pro settings for any of these vehicles. They all just run pretty fine on default. I'm sure there's pro settings out there if you want to look. Anyways, let's get to the events. All right, the first event is called Knockout. Now, this one is with the KTM Red Bull Edition. And for this one, you're going to want Pure and Extra Pump. So for these motocross off-road sections, Pure and Extra Pump. For the road ones, like the one with the Gixxer or the other, I forget which one, the Ducati, those ones you're going to want Pure and Bended. You want Bended for those ones because it makes a big difference on those. So anyways, regardless, in your legend points, you should have all of them maxed out. Pure, Extra Pump, Bended, all of those maxed, because Bended does actually help with top speed on the bikes. And even if you're solo, it still works. So there you go. Anyways, let's get into this event. It's called Knockout. And just a couple of tips here. The bikes accelerate a little bit better off the line when you're not leaning forward, so make sure you don't lean forward. You're going to want to hug this rock as closely as possible here at 4%, and then just keep on turning because you need to get around this corner at a very tight angle as well. You don't want to get into this water. Stay out of the water for this event as much as possible as I jump into the water. Use air NOS for that. You don't want to be on the water at all. You're going to save time getting to the land as fast as possible. Now, this corner at 17% is really, really tough. It's a very tight corner, and I strongly recommend either resetting the corner, which I did not, or just taking it very slowly like this. Brake really heavy, go through the checkpoint, and then just keep going. You can reset it, though, if you want. I think it's a little bit slower to reset, though. Now, when you get to this jump, you're going to jump over to the road. From here, all the way to the road. Use air NOS to make it. And then from here on out, you're going to be holding the left stick forward because you need to be getting top speed. Now, this turn coming up is a little bit tricky, but anytime you're on a straight trying to get top speed, you want to hold forward. So this one, try to stay as close to the rocks as possible. Now you should be holding forward on your stick and sort of rolling it in order to steer. It's just a trick with the bikes. It gets you to your top speed a little bit faster. All right, let's keep going. On this beach section, I go around to the right a little. I want to avoid the jumps a little bit. I want to keep the bike on the floor and NOS. NOSing in the air doesn't do as much as it does on the ground, so you definitely want to do that. Motocross is weird like that. It doesn't get air NOS like the Rally Raid stuff does. So although you should be using NOS in the air, you don't have to use a lot of it because it doesn't benefit you as much. Anyways, when you get to this jump at 58% off this bridge, you're going to want to go left and go through these trees. Now, I did not take the optimal line. Should have been left of this tree here, but I went through the middle, unfortunately, and then got really lucky and hit a breakable tree. I don't even understand how that happened. You're going to go around this jump at 69%. Again, holding forward on your sticks. Then you're going to need to get wide here on the right. There's a water right here at the beginning of this jump. There's water here. Don't go in that. Stay over here to the left. And then sort of angle it so you can get to the beach as quickly as possible. You want to get to this beach and then get back to accelerating. This corner at 85% is tough. Try to get as tight of an angle as possible and get yourself out of this water as soon as possible. You can probably slow down a little bit and take it, you know, maybe a little slower, but stay on the beach. either way, that's it, man. You're home free. Get through this checkpoint, get through this rock. Make sure you have enough NOS to get through this water. NOS as much as you can to the finish line. All right, let's move on. All right, the next event is called Isle of Oahu, and for this one, you're using the Ducati Panigale. This bike, excuse me, is the fastest option for this course. I'm going to show you one lap so that you can see how I'm taking these corners. I did race this in first person. I find it easier to know where the bike is going to end the turn by watching the first person view. I just think that it's a little bit easier to know how close to the edge I can get and how far away from the wall I can get. I like seeing the bike like this. It just makes more sense in my mind, but I don't do this for the off-road, just the on-road stuff. Again, for this one, you want Nitro Chemist set with Pure and Bended as your affix. Anyways, let's get to it, man. This first turn is 4th gear. You want to shift up a little bit. Actually, on the first lap, you don't shift up early, but in the future laps, you will. On this one, shift up to 6th and go ahead and use NOS to get to top speed here. You'll have plenty of time to recover it. This turn over here is a 3rd gear turn. I went to 2nd because I went into it way too hot on that first turn, or that first lap. Anyways, 5th gear turn here. Notice the shift immediately to 6th. I didn't even let 5th gear play out. I got to 5th. I didn't even hit red line. I'm close, but I didn't hit red line. I just shift immediately to 6th and then go for it. You're gonna do that a lot throughout this race. Again, you're just trying to stay wide. Stay to the left on this side so you can take this turn at full speed here and not have to lift until you get to this corner. Downshift once and then get yourself into 6th as soon as possible and use NOS. Now, don't abuse the NOS. If you're bouncing off the red line, stop using your NOS. But when you want to get from like 180 miles an hour to 215 to 220, go ahead and blast the NOS, but make sure you're in 6th. You got to be in 6th for that. And that's basically the lap. It's pretty simple. There's not really any tricks, but just, you know, do your best to use your NOS. So NOS management on this one is going to be the biggest part. All right, let's move on. All right, the next event is called Impossible Climb, and this one is with that BMW bike. This one is really tricky. There's a couple of things you have to do in order to maintain a lot of speed. The first one is to sort of get a wide angle here on the left and then slow down and cut right. Use some air NOS there. This is a rally raid bike. It is greatly affected by air NOS. So you're going to want to use air NOS as much as you can. Now on this turn, you're going to go wide. Now what you're looking for is this little tiny rock that's in this pool. You can go a little bit to the left of it or to the right, but you want to make sure that that's kind of your point of aiming. Now you don't want to hit it because it'll slow you down. But when you get there, you're going to want to NOS and point the bike up. You need to float over this stuff. If you smash into any of these things, sometimes it'll reset you, which is super annoying. But point the bike up and NOS. So it looks something like this. See how you kind of like bounce a little bit, float over it? It's just easier that way. Now, obviously, make sure you have enough NOS to get up this hill. If you don't have good NOS up this hill, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. So if you notice, I've got more than half a tank. Get yourself into 5th gear. Don't hold forward on this. If you hold forward, you're going to lose traction in the back. You lose a lot of speed. Just let the rider sit on the bike. Get into 4th when you get to this little tunnel here. Obviously, use a lot of NOS towards the top of this. And then slow yourself down, control your throttle, and cut this to the right. Now, the camera is going to get a little weird here. I don't know why, but it's doing that. Just make sure you're jumping like that. And then when you hit this, you're going to want to go straight towards this checkpoint. You're going to hit these rocks and go way up in the air. Because, look at the speed. Look at the speed. 200 miles an hour. Use your NOS in the air. Not all of it, though. Not all of it. You want to make sure you have a half a tank when you land. And then you're off over here. Use a little bit of air here. And then immediately get to your left. So you want to stay wide for this corner. It's a tighter corner. Get into 4th gear. There you go. Then make the turn back left. And you're going to take this one really wide. You're going to go left of this flag. And then go super wide to try to get some speed. And just keep turning. Just this big wide turn here. Keep turning, keep turning. And then when you get here, a little bit of NOS dump. And then control speed up and over this hill. Try to make this turn tight. You don't want to go wide here. You want to go straight at the finish line. And then get into 6th and NOS straight to the finish. And there you go. You should have a nice run there. All right, the next event is called Oahu Supercross. And this is with the KTM. So this one is going to be fairly straightforward, but there's a lot of little things. So anyways, I would follow these guys in the beginning, get some slipstream off of them. And then when you get close to the flag, just go ahead and cut it across. Go across the water, rejoin the slipstream train here. Don't use any NOS yet, just hang tight. Little bit across here, and then go wide. Go into these bushes a little bit. I didn't do it on this first lap. I'll show you on the second lap. I did go through the bushes. Actually, I'm not going to show you the second lap, but anyway, stay wide there because you want to cut this flag really tight here. So once you get here, NOS across here. Now go to the left of this flag here, then turn right and reset when you get back to these flags. It'll turn you around. You're going to use some air NOS here on this jump. There you go. And then when you get here, try not to turn yourself in the air. You lose a lot of speed when you land sideways. Control your speed going around this corner. Just get into 5th. Stay really tight to that flag. Go all the way to the right and then swing back left. The goal is to land to where you can take this curve really fast, which I held a lot of speed on that one. Stay tight left there. Notice that was a little cut. I didn't even talk about that yet. So basically here at about I don't know, halfway through the lap, you're going to go through these trees here. And stay hard left, then right. And then you're going to use NOS and go just to the left of this jump. There's a rock there. So basically you're aiming for just to the right of this rock, like basically in between the rock and the ramp. Perfect. NOS across the water. Don't use a lot of NOS in air on this, just a little. And then make sure you're holding forward on your sticks. You'll get a lot more top speed for this high speed section. And that's pretty much it for the lap. Just rinse and repeat that. All right, the next event is called Motofest Moto Drome. And for this one, you're using the Gixxer, the GSX RR. I did, again, the street bikes, I do it in first person. Just feels a little better. I know where the bike is. So for this first turn, there's not a lot of tips I can give you, but this first turn, you can take this 100% full speed. If you start wide and then cut in, your goal here is to keep a lot of speed through the middle of the turn, but then to start cutting it shorter towards the end of the turn, which is right here by this flag. And as you get close to this flag, you can open it up and use some NOS to get up to top speed. There you go. See how fast I get to 220? 220 is what you're looking for. Honestly, you really need to get there as much as possible. Now on this turn here, you can cut it in. So the visual cue is this last group of steel Stallions walls. You want to go through that if you can. And then you're going to downshift heavy for this turn. This is a third gear turn for this car, or for this bike. Again, third gear turn for this one. You want to come out fast. You don't want to enter the turn fast. You want to leave the turn fast. That's pretty much it for the lap. There's not really a lot of other tips I can give you. So I don't know. Everything else is just kind of managing your NOS. Again, with these street bikes, you want to get into your high gear like as soon as possible. So I wouldn't shift from like 3rd to 6th, but I would definitely shift from like 4th, a quick shift to 5th, use a little bit of NOS, and then right into 6th to get this thing up to top speed. So like an example of that would be at the end here. So as I'm accelerating out, you'll notice the early shifts. So I totally skipped 5th gear. I didn't even use NOS at all in 5th gear. I just skipped it. And then went straight to 6th and used NOS because you can get up to top speed quickly. So anyways, early up shifts. If you're in automatic, don't worry. Just, use your NOS to get to top speed. All right, finally, we've got the Northshore Enduro, and this one is using that KTM Rally Raid bike. There's a bunch of little tricks on this one as well. And no, I didn't do it in first person. I can't do the off-road in first person. Anyways, you want to use as much slipstream as you can off of these AI. So, if you have to turn up your difficulty or whatever to make them go a little faster, I would definitely recommend doing that. On this jump, you want to cut it as close to this. Notice how close I got to this building. As close to this building as possible. use air NOS. These bikes, the rally raid bikes, get a lot of speed from air NOS, but you want to definitely get as much speed as possible. And just try to cut this back a little left here. Don't hit any trees. Trees will kill your speed completely. Try to hit the middle of this berm here. Be careful with your NOS management. Make sure your NOS is mostly full. If you use too much of it, you're not going to have enough for the jump. And you want to have almost a full tank for the jump. NOS in the air. Notice the speed all the way up to 180. Cut it tight to this tree. And then in the air, you have a little bit of NOS like right here. In the air, it gives you some extra speed. Again, here with the jump, just a tiny bit of NOS is going to help you a lot. Now, this jump is tricky. But what you're trying to do is clear the bushes on the left side of the landing and land on the downward part of the hill. So the angle is like a little bit left of basically this center yellow thing here. See how I went to the left? What you're trying to do is land right in this area. This hill points you downward, and if you land on that hill, it accelerates you as you land, and you end up being at like 150 miles an hour going up the hill. So let's see it in fast motion. You're basically looking for like, the rider's kind of in the way here. Like right down in this area, in this patch. I don't know if you can see that, but here. Let's see it fast motion. Watch how fast I land. Boom. And it just pushes you up the hill. 130 up the hill. Again, air NOS as much as you can. And then just try to control the bike here towards the end. Again, pushing forward on your left stick to make sure the rider is leaning forward is going to help you a lot on this. For this downhill section here, make sure you're using NOS in air. And then point your bike to the left. Go left. And then again, air NOS here when you hit this thing. And NOS to the finish. I really think a 47 is possible. I think I can hit that jump a little bit cleaner and potentially go up that hill a little bit faster. All right, here are my 3 feats. I'll let these play out in their entirety so you can see the lines that I took, and then we'll be back with the final scores. All right, here are my final scores. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, send me a DM on Instagram or Discord. I read every single message that comes my way. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope it helps. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.